Thank you, Governor Baker. Our small businesses have had a challenging, tough, complicated, and hard year. But through it all, they have demonstrated resilience and patience. For small business owners, operators, and workers, for all that you've done over the course of this year, we say thank you. Through the grants that we are announcing today, some of the hardest hit businesses and communities across Massachusetts will be able to cover a number of expenses, including payroll and benefit costs, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. As the governor said, we made a concerted effort throughout the process to ensure that these limited resources would be going to those who need it most. I want to thank the many partner organizations that we worked with to ensure that the application got into the hands of the populations and communities that these programs were designed to serve. I would also like to thank our partners in the legislature for their making this funding possible, and we look forward to continuing to work together to provide additional supports for small businesses and our Commonwealth's economy. Of the 1,158 small businesses that will be receiving these critical funds, 100% are minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, LGBTQ-owned, and disability-owned, including 94% minority-owned and 76% women-owned. More than 1/3 of award recipients operate in our gateway cities, communities that have been hit extremely hard, not just economically, but by the virus itself. There is more funding in the pipeline for those who have applied to this program, but did not receive a grant in this first round. And we look forward to continuing to work with the legislature on additional resources. Before I turn the podium over to Secretary Kennealy, I want to mention that there's another way that our administration is committed to helping our local economic recovery efforts and small businesses in our communities. Mass Development's Commonwealth Places COVID-19 response round, called Resurgent Places program, is an important tool for helping community partners build economic momentum in their own community. This would be in the downtowns and main streets where a lot of these businesses are, and how the communities can use these funds to figure out who needs the support and how to build that momentum as we turn into the new year. The governor and I were pleased to join Mass Development and local officials at Mills City Barbecue and Brew in Lowell this summer. It seems like a long time ago that we were there with the business owner and awarding not only her business but others in the first round of this program, which was about $224,965 in funding 21 placemaking projects across Massachusetts. Seems like a relatively small amount, but every single one of these is placemaking and helping to place down the seeds for economic growth in the next year. Today, we're doubling down on this program by announcing the availability of $390,000 in funding for a new round. Not only do these projects bring customers to downtowns and main streets that have been severely impacted by the pandemic, but they help build a foundation for cities and towns to meet longer-term economic development goals and help engage community members by getting them involved in planning and recovery efforts. It is good to be talking about those things, but more than talk, putting the resources behind it will really make a difference. Interested organizations can visit massdevelopment.com/Commonwealth Places to learn more and apply. I'd now like to turn it over to Secretary Kennealy.
Oh, thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. We're so pleased to be able to notify more than 1,100 Massachusetts small businesses that they will be getting needed support to help them cover expenses, support their workers, keep their doors open, or finally help them reopen. As we said before, those who are already at a disadvantage before the pandemic have suffered disproportionately as a result of this crisis. Accordingly, today's awards are going to business owners that have faced higher barriers to accessing help from previous programs. You've heard this already today, but it bears repeating. All grants are going to the populations that the program targeted. And out of more than 10,000 applications submitted, 100% of those filed by companies that are minority-owned, veteran-owned, LGBTQ-owned, or owned by people with disabilities that have received no other financial aid during the pandemic will be getting funding. That was our goal when we announced this program, and we're glad that we got there. In my office, we're acutely aware of the sectors that have been hardest hit, and we are proud that we can direct this relief to help them out. Out of today's grantees, 262 personal care providers, 217 restaurants, and nearly 100 retailers will receive awards. That's close to 600 small businesses that support their workers' families, and their communities. And as we look to award the additional $17.5 million in the recently signed budget, we will continue to prioritize the businesses and communities that have been impacted the most. For small businesses that have already applied to the program and were not awarded a grant in round one, your application will be automatically eligible for future rounds. This support for small businesses is just one part of our comprehensive economic recovery strategy. For example, last month we announced $68 million for economic development and housing infrastructure projects. Last week, MassDOT announced nearly $1.7 million in the latest round of their Shared Streets and Spaces program. Soon we'll be announcing millions of dollars in grants for nonprofit cultural facilities that have faced significant challenges this year. And we'll also soon be announcing grants in support of internet connectivity, something that is absolutely critical to people seeking to rejoin the workforce. As always, we appreciate the support from the legislature in this important work. And I also want to thank Larry Andrews and the team at Mass Growth Capital Corporation for their doing an incredible job on this, their incredible hard work, and for being such great partners with us throughout the pandemic in support of small businesses. The economic and public health challenges related to COVID-19 are still very much with us, and we will continue to face them together. Thank you.